Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Kevin. Today is Friday, the 13th of November. Another Friday, the 13th. I don't know why that's significant for so many people, but it is. I never felt anything really different other than a little more magical than normal. But um, I think it's a belief that we've been raised to believe, like Halloween, that something weird and witchy happens on Friday the 13th, nothing goes quite right, blah, 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 blah. Stuff and nonsense is all I got to say to that. I did something different today with my coffee. I put a little bit of honey and a half of the cinnamon stick in the bottom of the carafe as it dripped. It's rather Moorish, I think. All right, so what is the message for today? It's so interesting, and I'm so excited to bring this to you. So excited, I'm bringing the microphone closer. um, oh, wow. So I did my usual centering. I think that's important for all of us to do on a regular basis, is to center and be clear with the position that we're taking, the intention that we have in the present moment, but also with the intention of what happens next. I think it's great to set goals, to have goals, to picture the goals, and know that we're in a partnership with an energy level bigger than us. Call it God, call it universe, call it whatever you want to call it. There is an energy. And if any of you live in the North Carolina, Charlotte area, yesterday you would have known that the energy was phenomenal. All that water, all that rain, all that flooding, all that, just a lot. And we've learned a lot. The Gulf states this year have learned a lot about resilience. They have taken storm after storm after storm and flood after flood after flood. That's the enormity of the world and the culture that we live in. So know that this isn't anything new, that these things are continual. There's a virus out there. Some are completely asleep that it's going on, others are awake and alert to what's going on. That's where you go within to see what's out there. You have to turn off these limiting beliefs and these limiting thought processes that trap. They create a feeling of stuckness, a feeling of non-movement. So the card and the message today is perfect. It is the Ice Queen, which is a challenge. But the Ice Queen upright. So there's more message on the Ice Queen is ideas perceived, non-action and entitlement. When it's challenged, it asks where you believe things are permanent, where you believe you own everything, where you believe that you're entitled to less, more, that it's yours and no one else's. And I'm using these as really bold brushstrokes for you and for the ego to look at how the limiting behaviors of this feeling of ownership, the feeling of permanence, the feeling of holding on to the perceived idea that everything is going to be just the way it should be all the time. That's being shaken. If nothing else, we can learn by our own doctrine, our own beliefs, our own experiences, and then challenge it. Challenge where, and this is interesting, challenge where you may have had an idea or a belief about, I don't know, owning a car, owning a home, owning a job, owning a position. And I'll use this as an example. In my 40s, for me, it was about the prestige of the position I held in career. So if you look at the bigger bubble of that, the decade of 40s, 40 years in this incarnation, was about the career. it really wasn't about the career, to be honest. It was about how I was showing up for other people. What was my perception? And the perception was that I was this important person. It was necessary for me to be seen as important. But the one person I needed to be important to that I was completely ignoring was myself. So if your perception, your perceived ownership, and your perceived ideals is the car you drive, the home you live in, the clothes you wear, the perception that you're giving to the world, what is that perception and why? Usually, which is a really tough thing to look at, it's ego driven. If we see someone that is incredibly successful looking, our perception is that they must be doing well, they must be successful because of the house they live in, the car they drive, the job they've got, and really the statute, the way and where they're carrying themselves. There's a point to this message which is quite bizarre for me this morning, to know that we're all connected to a deeper, higher source, this bigger piece of energy, just like yesterday's water flooding all over the place. I pulled a personal card. I think I'm going to start sharing these. Now, these are completely different oracle decks by two completely different authors. They may know each other. I don't know if they do or they don't. One is Colette Baron-Reid. The other one is Kyle Gray. Kyle Gray does an awful lot of work with angels, as does Colette Baron-Reid. But Colette Baron-Reid's, she's on about the wisdom that comes from the ethers, the wisdom that comes from some other space, while Kyle does the same thing. He works with angel wisdom. But here's what's interesting. The card I pulled today, which was for myself, was Take Charge and Action. So, well, how do these two work together? How do I have them work together? And why did they show up today in this way for this message? And the message really is, if you take charge and action, you're in partnership with a bigger energy source. You're in partnership with spirit. You're in partnership with the powers that cause the weather systems. You know, I had a conversation with a good friend the other day who was in a mess about how to manifest something. They wanted something. I said, well, give up the idea that you won't have it and understand that you're supposed to have what you're supposed to have because you're drawn to it. We're attracted to things we're meant to be drawn to. Even the things that frighten us to death. Even the things that make us think, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do that. Like, you want this big job, you want this big career, and someone says, boom, you can have the job. And then you're like, oh my goodness, now what am I going to do? I'm not sure I can do it. Well, you asked for it. You stood up there and you took action. You said, I want it. Well, we'll give it to you. Now go do it. That's the thing. The perception. The Ice Queen tells us to look at the perceptions. What is the perception? Do we believe something that really isn't true? Think of a time in your life where you've really wanted something really badly and you've got it. Then you think, I don't know if I really want it. The perception's underneath it. There's a little filter that drives that. It's typically ego, which is why we meditate, which is why we get quiet and we go within. So the Ice Queen says, have what you want when you want it, have it now. You're in partnership with a bigger power. You're in partnership with the universe. You're in partnership with God. You're in partnership with everything. Your prayer is a request outward. Your meditation is the wisdom inward. It's almost impossible for you to take on somebody else's wisdom, or vice versa, for them to take on your wisdom. We're not defined by our limitations. We're not defined by how much of a garden we've got, whether the fence behind the house. I'm using property ownership to put this point across, that you can want this great house, you can want all this land, you can want to push your neighbors a mile away if you want to. You can want that and you can have that. Once you've got it, then what? then what do you do? Right? What? Okay, yeah, you got it. I've learned this the hard way and the easy way. The good way is, oh, I can have anything I want when I want it and enjoy it, and then say thank you. So the other part of perception is to live with the gratitude that things are fluid. You're not living in the same house you lived in when you grew up. Many of you probably, your family sold it, or you moved out of it, or you transferred to somewhere else. What would have happened if you'd stayed there and you never left your bedroom at 6 years old, and you never went to college at 18, 19, or you never went away to learn something else, or you never moved from one place to another? What would have happened? I don't know what would have happened if I'd stayed in a village where I grew up and never gone and did an interview in London and never got on a plane with $200 in a suitcase and ended up in this great big city, this great big country. What would have happened if the airplane hadn't been built, taking people from one place to another? What would we have done? You see, my friends, we're part of something huge. And when the universe and when society and culture begins to shake, rattle, and roll, and I look at floods and rain, yes, it's devastating. If you are trapped and connected to something that you believed you needed to hold on to so badly, this is about taking charge and action, letting go of. You can take control in what your intentions are, but let go of the stuff that limits those intentions. And I hope I'm not confusing you. If you're in partnership with the biggest energy center out there, if you are the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, if you are in command, which you should be, of the fact that you're here on the planet with other people, you're not the only one at the captain's seat. You're not the only one that's piloting the plane of life. You are in here with other workers doing the work of life and living. Pick up what you want, understand that you're going to line up with other people, and collectively go forward. Collectively do what you need to do to create this big life that you really did sign up for. Think about how it took, or what it took, to get you here. How limiting is your life if you're defining it by the perception of other people, or being led by other people that doesn't feel right. Many of us have belief systems that our friends don't have. Does that mean we're not friends with them anymore? I hope not. What I tend to do now in my own world is to say to someone who I might not agree with, I might even take issue with what they've got to say, but then I'm looking at it and saying, listen, I'm having a reaction, a response to what you're telling me, and I understand it. Would you be willing to share your viewpoint and share what you think and what you believe, so that I might learn something? Because it's obvious, if you're taking an issue with another point of view, another idea or ideal, you can learn something and they can learn something. All right, time to meditate. Feet flat on the floor. This time I want you to be in command of your physical body from here on out. Use Friday the 13th as the time and the day that you say, you know what, I got this, I'm going to do this. And if things are not meant to stay in your life, if they're not meant to be here, and I don't just mean people, I want to be clear. I'm not being flippant about those whose lives on earth are being cut quickly. That's grief. That's a different energy. That's a different emotional letting go. It's a deeper letting go. This is letting go of the materialism, the perception of success, so that something greater can take its place. Truth, knowledge, authenticity, understanding, and wisdom. So take the position that you've had all along, that you are in command of this body, this mind, this heart, this soul, on this planet at this time, and make that declaration right now. You can state aloud or in your mind, I am the keeper of my mind, my heart, and my body. Wherever light and power is, fear and weaknesses are strangers. Light, love, and power are here. That is an affirmation that points you, places you, and stimulates you into the mode of attracting exactly that. With your physical body still, be with the expansion of your chest and lungs as you breathe in. And be with the release and the letting go as you breathe out. Pull in a greater power than your physical body can perceive. Exhale and release the ties that bind you to limitations. Breathe in to expand. And breathe out the anchors that bind you. Breathe in strength. Exhale and remove weaknesses. And keep your breath flowing just like that. Inhale everything that you attract. Exhale and release things you no longer need. Breathe in energy, awareness, wisdom, knowledge. Let go of the opposites. With your mind quiet, peaceful, with your physical body automatically energized, ready and open to receive the nourishing foods you feed it. The amount of rest needed to heal it. Ready to receive the wisdom to stimulate. Now with your third eye wide open, that space between your eyebrows, Situate your physical body with your chest open, your shoulders back, lift your chin, open your palms upward. You are in the pilot seat of reception. Be willing and open to receiving and listening to all that you need to know. So be it. So shall it be. Allow your mind to imagine that you are seated in front of a large theatre screen. Increase the size of this screen so you can no longer see the edges. Be open and receptive to watching everything that's on this screen in front of you. Now, as you're open and receptive, picture the screen and transport your mind and imagination to May 13th, 2021. Using your vision and using your powerful attachment to a bigger energy take action in achieving all of your intentions. Be as detailed as possible. Know that you can be doing anything you want to be doing. Line your vision up with the powerful people in the powerful places that support your intentions and create the actions necessary See how your intentions and your actions are benefiting people, including yourself. Know that everything about your intentions and your power, your manifestations and achievements are all in unison for your highest good and the highest good of others. And as you look and feel and be with your physical life in your physical body on May 13th, 2021, see and be witness to the immense vibrancy you have in your body. Be grateful and blessed for the youthful body that you now have. Be grateful and blessed for the level of serenity that you now have. Be grateful and blessed for the abundant financial support that you now have. Be grateful and blessed for the beautiful clothes you now wear. Be grateful and blessed that all those in your life, May 13th, 2021, are supporting you as you support them, are celebrating you as you celebrate them. When you're ready, gently bring your mind and your consciousness back to the present moment. Bring your hands to prayer at heart center. Be grateful and honored that you've done this work, that you've taken this time to receive this message, as I'm grateful and honored to have delivered this message to you. Put your thumb knuckles up between your forehead center. And by the use of Namaste, we see the light, the love, the support in others. That was powerful. I enjoyed that. Oh, see that half my face is somewhat blacked out. That's interesting lighting. These creative visualizations just literally show up. I needed to give up the idea that what I'm doing at one point in my life would have been perceived as poppycock and rubbish. I realized that that was likely something I learned. Doesn't make it true. Maybe makes it somebody else's truth, just not my own. That being said, you can do that visualization anytime, any place, especially if you feel that perhaps there is something you truly want to do with your life, something you truly want to achieve, and you're stuck. Typically, we're stuck in the idea that we can't do it, or that we're not good enough to do it. And I keep saying that over and over and over and over and over. If you weren't good enough, you wouldn't be here. On the planet, in life, whether you're a parent, a child, a teacher, a leader, this is the time that we see what we see, we hear what we hear, and we listen. And there's two ways of listening. There's the external listening of other people's frequency and wavelengths. There's the internal listening to how we're tuning in and what we're tuning into. And if you're tuning into this, thank you. I got clear not long after I started doing these that the information, the energy that was coming was spontaneous, instant, wasn't planned, wasn't rehearsed. Didn't sit down with notes saying I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about that. Yes, I will say there are moments in the day, in the week, when I'll get a hit on like, oh, this is what I've got to pay attention to. I was watching something about SpaceX, and I heard a person being interviewed. It was an excerpt from Barack Obama's new autobiography where he said he's now concentrating on the next generation. If you are 15 to 25, you are the next generation. You're likely not listening to me. If you are, pay attention. Wish I had this much knowledge. Well, I probably did. 15 to 18 to 25 years old. But I listened to people that said, you don't know what you're talking about. You're too young. Let's see, what else did they say? All kinds of things. We've all heard it, right? You get a voice, you get intelligence, you get understanding. And there's very few people that will listen to you when you're 15 years old. They say your hormones are raging. They say whatever else they say. We believe it. Then what? And the other part to that is we pass it on. Then there's a cycle. There's this pattern, tradition, family. Yeah. interesting, this morning I heard that an airline was placing the middle seats back into their planes to increase productivity, and the news person, who likely didn't write the news, presented that it may likely create armrest war. Well, here's what I've got to say to that. The person who buys the middle seat bought it, paid for it, needs to sit in it, armrest or no armrest. You have a choice with whatever you do, and it's your choice. And if you're choosing to do something that someone else doesn't agree with, it's still your choice. This take charge and action is for you to get the respect that you want, get the respect that you deserve, and get the respect that you are on the planet for a reason. All right, my friends, I love you. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. Listen, if you think there's merit in what you've learned and what you've got this morning, share it, pass it along, and we'll see each other tomorrow morning, 5:30. Bye.